It's January. Would I like to see our offense play better and not be the 24th ranked offense? For sure. Would I like to see us not be a bottom 4 3-point shooting team? Most definitely. But the thing that people, I think, are not remembering is that last year we weren't a good 3-point shooting team. We weren't a good offensive team. What was our identity? A defensively sound team. We're a top 10 unit on the defensive side of the basketball. We just have not been scoring the basketball at all. And against the Heat, that was evident. We go, 4 for 30 from 3? It's not ideal. But Darvin Ham also put it this way, and I know a lot of fans didn't like to hear this. We are not a healthy group. We don't have Gabe Vincent. We've lost Rui Hachimura and D'Angelo Russell in the last week. We've been going in and out of lineups. It's been hard to find a consistent lineup. And last year, that was the same issue. We were constantly going through a rotation of lineups, where this year we finally get Vanderbilt back. He's still the same player, great defensively, terrible 3-point shooter. Did you actually get a chance to look at his 3-point percentage so far? And
Vando? I actually have your guys.
It's 7%.
What?
Yeah.
It's 7% from 3. Jared Vanderbilt this season. So the thing was, last year, the lineup that was our bread and butter, it was D'Lo, Reeves, LeBron, Vanderbilt, and AD. They've only played 3 minutes together this season. It's not an ideal situation for the Los Angeles Lakers right now, where Vando becomes hard to play in any situation because you can't stretch the floor with him out there. And then D'Angelo Russell, who has been playing some solid basketball, he's just been up and down, and then, of course, he is injured right now. I just don't want to stress about this too much because, again, we've gone through this. We've been in a situation like this. It is January. We're not halfway through the season yet. We are approaching that, sure, but there's still so much basketball left to be played. And if teams last year showed anything, is that you don't need this insanely high seed at the end of the season to compete at the end of the year. So, yeah, I understand that our 3-point shooting needs to get better. I think we will get better at the trade deadline for sure. I just think more than anything, we need to get healthy and be healthy for playoff time. That's the primary focus. So I'm not going to stress about this too much. Yes, we're not playing good basketball right now. I'm not going to be hard-headed to that. But I do think that it is January. We're not halfway through the season yet. Let's stop overreacting to Lakers basketball just because they're not playing the way that you expect them to play. They're an old team. They're preparing for what really matters, and that's the playoffs.
I think what's going to be pretty reoccurring in this conversation that we're going to have is the fact that all 3 of these teams have an abundance of absent players throughout the year. Or
good word.
What the fuck
Well,
are
I
you
just
doing?
saw the look on his face like he was up to no good.
You saw him, he was like
Yeah.
having sex with his chair?
Yeah, nah, he was wilding.
What the hell are you doing over here, bro?
I'm not doing nothing. I was
over
just
here like,
listening.
what's up with you, bro?
You were riding? You got a little tickle in your butt?
I was putting my foot back in my shoe.
Oh, so you were showing the fans your feet.
I was just making sure something works down there. And in fact, my feet can touch the floor. Yes. I was making sure. I was curious myself. Somebody wrote it.
That was very confusing.
I was curious myself, so I took my foot out my shoe and I was like, let me see.
Yeah, that was just a little
Bro, so
confusing.
make sure everything's working.
Damn, I was straight cooking with some good words. But all 3 of these teams have had either a star player missing for extended time or just a bunch of nagging injuries to a lot of their rotation players. So I think that's going to be the recurring theme in this conversation. But to talk about the Lakers, I don't think it's the same as last year. I really don't. I think last year, they started off slow, made some trades towards the deadline, and then they became a better team. I think this year what we're seeing is a team with no real identity on the offensive end. Last year they did. This year they didn't. A lot of it is Darvin Ham not being able to adjust, making terrible rotations. And then a lot of it also is a lot of their players cannot shoot the 3-ball. A lot of their best defenders cannot, shoot the ball. Yes.
In your opinion, what was our identity offensively last year?
I don't really remember.
Because to be honest with you, it's the exact same this year.
I guess
It's
pack the paint.
Defense, lead to transition.
We have to play with pace,
LeBron
which
and
we're
AD.
playing with this season. We're a top 10 in terms of pace. I think right now we're 9th. LeBron and AD pick and roll, and they've been spamming Anthony Davis.
Yeah.
He's been awesome.
been cooking.
Also, let's give Riz his touches from time to time. Let's give D'Lo his touches from time to time.
Yeah, but
that's the offense.
You've brought in Vincent to be a 3-point shooter.
Injured.
You brought in Prince to be a 3-point shooter.
Bad.
And now you're looking at it like you kept Rui, 3-point shooter.
Injured.
You put D'Lo to the bench. Then you start like it's like Ham doesn't seem like he knows what he's doing. He doesn't seem like
This is a good
he has
point.
control of the locker room. And like I said, a lot of your best defenders, like Cam Reddish, Jared, they cannot shoot the 3-ball.
You're right.
So the fact that they can't shoot the 3-ball is tough because you want them out there in the floor. You want them out there defending their best players
100%.
on the opposite end. Because when you have those guys in with LeBron and AD, you're one of the best defensive units in the league. But at the same time, you got to sacrifice. And I think the weirdness in Reeves coming off the bench, D'Lo starting, D'Lo come like the him not knowing what he wants to do with his guard rotation is also a funny thing. And I've seen some reports that Darvin Ham might not make it to the end of the year. You know, they're thinking about firing him, and Reeves aren't on the same page. Him and the locker room aren't on the same page, and it's interesting. Darvin Ham definitely makes some questionable calls. He makes some questionable rotations. But at the same time, I'm not too worried about the Lakers because out of all of these teams, I think they can hold their head on one thing, in that they can be a great defensive unit. I think for Phoenix, we don't know. We don't know what they are with that trio. With Golden State, they have lost their identity. So with the Lakers, because they're an elite defensive unit, I think they're one team out of all these three teams that can kind of figure it out.
I think I think the other teams you could give excuse for injuries, but for the Lakers, it's rotational guys. Like, you're playing with Reeves has played 32, LeBron and AD have played 35 games each. So you're looking at Draymond Green, who's been out a ton. Of course, Bradley Beal, Booker missed some time early, but for the Lakers,
we can just talk about the Lakers right now.
The Pacers are beating the shit out of Atlanta.
They're beating Atlanta?
Did you see the score?
Look at the fucking score.
Oh, wow, I didn't see
game.
it. So that's what the facial expression was.
Trae
about.
Young is 2 for 13.
oh, you're cooked.
Yeah, you're the worst. To be honest. Don't put that parlay in, guys.
But talk about the Lakers.
It's
I
an
saw
entry.
for four
sorry.
games in a row, Darvin Ham was starting Taurean Prince, Jared Vanderbilt, LeBron, Rui, and Anthony Davis.
Yep.
I understand he wants Austin Reeves to be the sixth man here, but to me, Austin Reeves is your third best offensive player. And when your offense is struggling this much, I need to see more Austin Reeves out there because you guys defensively have been good. You know, you're still a top 10 ranked defense, 8th or 9th. And like you mentioned, you are playing with pace. So the shooting does worry me. But more than anything, I feel like Darvin Ham is, I don't want to call it like too big of an ego, but I feel like he's kind of fixated on making Austin Reeves this bench player who's going to, run with the second unit, where I need the scoring and the offense out there quicker in the game, because when it comes to first quarters, you guys are one of the worst first quarter teams in the league. You've trailed in 24 games after the first quarter. And when you're starting lineups with Jared Vanderbilt in it, and you have some with Vanderbilt, Reddish, Taurean Prince, LeBron, and AD, the spacing there gets really ugly, right? So it's hard for any offense to score, let alone when you're going to have, basically two players who can't shoot. And, of course, Anthony Davis isn't a prolific three-point shooter, doesn't take a ton either. LeBron, of course, is kind of your saving grace, shooting damn near 40%. But I'm worried just more so if Darvin Ham can kind of get out of his own way here and start Austin Reeves, because I do think that would have the quickest turnaround, at least offensively. But I agree with Riv that if there's any team out of this three that I am least worried about, it would be the Lakers, because with LeBron there, with Anthony Davis, they could dominate games. We have seen AD dominate lately, and this 10-game stretch, you guys are 2-8, which we typically didn't see, at least the back half of last year, when he go 16-7 to finish off the season. AD was having those back and forth nights, and when he was on, you guys looked dominant. So this year, when he's on, you guys still haven't really been able to compete at the same level. So number one, I think, would be getting Austin Reeves into the starting lineup, and then of course, like you guys all mentioned, getting some shooting. But I'm not panicking yet. Still have the trade deadline, have some movable contracts, and hopefully once Gabe Vincent comes back, because that was kind of your marquee pickup. That was a
big move.
He could get reacclimated because he could bring some shooting and playmaking.
My brother, the date is January 5th, 2024. We are in a new season. Over a quarter of the NBA season has happened. We still have a long way to go. Hell no, the Lakers aren't only looking to the playoffs right now. They got to figure out their team. This team is different to me than last year. I think this team has less spacing on it. Vando has dropped off, even in the limited three-point attempts that he takes.
Team.
It's not the same team.
What's different?
You got Cam Reddish starting in the lineup now.
And last year we had Dennis Schroeder.
Dennis Schroeder's been awesome for the Raptors.
But that's the only difference.
He's been awesome for the Raptors.
I miss him.
He's a much better player than Cam.
But Gabe Vincent was supposed to be that guy, and he has a flaming
played 5 games.
Inflamed knee.
Even when Gabe Vincent was out there, he wasn't very good.
11% from 3.
I know.
The Lakers right now, Darvin Ham has used his 10th starting lineup of the year versus the Heat. That was his third one in 3 straight games versus OKC, the starting lineup was LeBron, Taurean Prince, Cam Reddish, Vando, and Anthony Davis. There's clearly no spacing on that lineup. Reddish and Vando are two players you can leave open from three, and you're fine with that shot selection. I think the problem with the Lakers is the same problem they had last year. They don't have any spacing. The defense is always going to be suffocating because you have Anthony Davis there, and they have some good perimeter defenders on the team as well.
For sure.
But I just don't believe you can win a championship with spacing like this. And I know that we probably are just looking to the playoffs with the Lakers, but LeBron James, every season of his career, it's been one goal. It's been to win a championship. If he feels like his roster is not up to par to win a championship, he will be pushing for a move to happen or somebody that is in power to not be in power anymore. Darvin Ham, there's currently reports that there's a disconnect between him and the Lakers locker room. You can see how that's affecting the postgame press conferences with Darvin Ham making the excuse of injuries and continuity after they just got beat by a Miami Heat team who didn't have Jimmy Butler, their best player. Eric Spoelstra doesn't make any excuses when it comes to that stuff. And in the fourth quarter, once the Heat locked into their zone defense, they suffocated the Lakers offense. And on the other end, I think the Lakers played fine defense. You just had Duncan Robinson shooting from three at a really high rate.
Yep.
He got hot late in the game, and he was amazing in the fourth.
Hero 2.
But once teams go into that zone defense and they cut off driving lanes and they're limiting paint touches, then it becomes choppy for the Lakers offense. And I think in this current era, maybe in the past before you've had to have a top defense and a top offense to win, I think now the way the NBA is moving towards, the way it's moving, you can have a top offense and an average defense and still win. I think it's worse if you're the other way around. If you're a top defense and an average offense, I think it's much easier to win now if you're an elite offense and average defense. The Lakers just don't feel like a team that offensively will get it clicking unless they make a major move to add some more spacing, and the lineups have to be better. I mean, 10 different starting lineups. I don't even think all of that is due to injury. A lot of that is just him trying to experiment with what's working. And that means that he really has no idea what's going on or what's working the best if he's just constantly throwing things at the wall. And that's what it feels like to me.
And do you think, because I feel like we're talking more so the internal pieces getting healthy, getting back on the court, because last season, it wasn't until the trade deadline. Once you guys made your moves, brought in multiple pieces, that's when you kind of went onto this run. But I don't know if the same thing is going to happen this season. I don't want to have like revisionist history and go back and be like, oh, you guys overachieved. But it's hard to do that. Like just at the deadline, put these pieces together and go and did it. Like it was impressive you did it. Mm-hmm. But it's hard for that to be, a reason of succeeding back-to-back years.
It's not a normal thing.
Yeah.
The only thing that I'll say to you guys is the same thing that I've been saying. I really don't see the drastic difference between last year's team and this year's team for identity purposes. Offensively, we were not good offensively. Defensively, we were amazing. We were still able to make a run to the WCF.
So what do you think the ceiling is for this team? It's a new year.
It's the same thing. The ceiling, I guess, with LeBron James and Anthony Davis, you can hate that I'm going to say it's a championship caliber team. But at the same time, I understand that there are deficiencies on the squad at this current moment in time. But I'll give some criticism. I think we're too focused on being an elite defense, that it is hindering our offense, like Joel said. I think we need to make it a point of emphasis to get our best offensive players out there and then use our rotation guys to come and help us on matchups that we need. Because as long as Anthony Davis is going to be on the court, our defense, or at least our front court, should be okay in that regard. The rim protection and all that comes with it. So I want to see, when he's healthy, of course, I want to see D'Lo, Austin Reeves, LeBron James, Rui Hachimura, and Anthony Davis. I want us to go in with the mindset, let's come out the gates in this first quarter. Let's get some points on the board. Let's try and actually give ourselves a position where we're not scratching and crawling back to get into these games like we do for a good portion of the games, like Joel had already mentioned. I would like to see that. But at the same time, where we do thrive is on the defensive side of the ball. Would I love if Cam Reddish could shoot average from 3-point, not under or just around 30%? I would love that. If Vanderbilt could find a way to stretch the floor just a little bit, I would love that. But at the same time, I understand what is going to help us win, and it is our defense. And that starts with Anthony Davis. But I'm not going to stress it too much because, again, our identity last year is our identity this year. We don't have Dennis Schroeder, which definitely sucks. We are injured right now at the guard position where Gabe Vincent was supposed to be that replacement. Taurean Prince was supposed to come in and be a knockdown shooter for us. He hasn't been that so far. I think that it's still early in the year, and I think that it's fair to give us criticism. I'm not going to say it's not, but just trust that the Lakers, who showed it when they're healthy, they still can play winning basketball.
I think it is different, though, the roster. This year, Gabe Vincent, you signed him to play heavy minutes. He's hurt, but he hasn't been good this year. He's shooting 11% from three.
He's only played 4 or 5 games, whatever it is. He's barely played.
He's played 11.
He's barely played any.
Yeah.
Cam Reddish is shooting 29% from three. Torian Prince is shooting 39% from three. He's probably been in a slump as of recently. But I think last year there were more threats with spacing.
Troy Brown.
Malik Beasley. Lonnie Walker.
Malik Beasley was terrible.
Malik Beasley had stretches. But Malik Beasley is also a player that when he gets hot, he's hitting at a high rate.
In the playoffs, he was terrible for the Lakers.
He was.
Okay. Lonnie Walker would be a nice addition to the
squad. But I'm not talking about the playoffs right now. I'm talking about just the regular season. Because you made the run in the regular season to get into the playoffs after the All-Star break.
But we understand the Lakers are a playoff team. Like, that's the ultimate.
And I think this year you have a worse chance in the playoffs than last year.
I got to get there first.
The West is so nuts, too.
It is nuts, but again, you think that we're not going to make it as long as we're healthy? Like, LeBron James and Anthony Davis won't allow that. The way that Anthony Davis is playing, this is some of the best ball we've seen him play.
All I'm saying is that Malik Beasley last year shot 35% from three with the Lakers.
It's mid.
It's still better than Cam Reddish is giving you and whatever Vando's giving you. And whatever.
But Vando was a huge
Vincent
part to us playing great basketball last year.
He was, and then teams figured out that, we don't have to guard him. So then
that was only in the playoffs.
I'm saying the Nuggets series.
Yeah, that's translated to the regular season now. So now you have to deal with that problem all the time. Lonnie Walker shot 36% from three last year, and he's playing well on the Nets. He's actually playing a pretty pivotal role.
But in the regular season, he got benched.
He did get benched.
He lost his minutes a lot.
I agree with you. Troy Brown Jr. shot 38% from three with the Lakers.
I actually miss Troy. And he's getting no burn.
He's getting no burn. He's played well in the games that he has been in with Minnesota. He's closed out some games and has been good for them. You just had more spacing, and it wasn't much. It wasn't an upgrade, but it's like, are you trading? Would you rather have the shooting of Troy Brown Jr. or the streakiness of Malik Beasley or Lonnie Walker than Cam Reddish minutes? I think Cam Reddish has been an awesome defender, but they're just not guarding him. And around LeBron, you need people who are at least a threat to shoot, and they guard them.
And it is funny, and I feel like a lot of the points you made, Joel, are spot on. LeBron has been our best three-point shooter this year. Mm-hmm. That hasn't happened almost at all in LeBron James's career. So I definitely would like to see us be a better three-point shooting team. That's been a bread and butter for almost all team success in the modern NBA. To be 27th, it's not going to translate in the regular season to winning basketball. But I'm still staying optimistic. It's still way too early for me to really hit the panic button. Last year, we were in a worse position. So it is what it is where we currently stand right now. We're still a great defensive team. Offensively, we have to figure it out, but I think it starts with getting healthy.